For the moment.
Hey everyone, Metagross Freak here, and I have another Transformers review. Today we're looking at Transformers The Last Knight Optimus Prime. Unlike the Grimlock figure I recently did, as well as the Bumblebee and I believe Dinobot Slash that were wave mates, Optimus Prime is an original mold. He is not a repaint, and he's a very nice mold. Over the course of my history collecting Transformers, this is only my third Optimus Prime. I originally had a repainted version of the Armada Prime. Basically, instead of being red and blue with silver highlights, it was kind of a dark gray with burgundy and yellow highlights. And then I still have um, a Dark of the Moon Prime that comes with the weird rifle that turns into an axe. But this is my first Prime that comes in official Prime colors, as opposed to being either a repaint or a technical retool. It is a Voyager, so like I mentioned in my Strong Arm video, the movie line still uses the same size classifications, though for some reason Robots in Disguise uses a different one. It's like, for example, most commonly known, instead of using deluxe class, they use warrior class. They've got some really nice art of Optimus on the box here. This one has him holding his shield. You can see his sword sheathed on the back. He's reaching out to like, you are the chosen one. There's some cool art on the side too, with just holding his sword, and it refers to Optimus as Earth's greatest protector. A little ironic if you know anything about the plot of Transformers 5. And we got some good art on the back, and showing off Grimlock with the stupid club attached to his tail. Though you'll notice right off the bat that this sword is gray with kind of an orangish, and if you look carefully, there's kind of a bronzish wash, which I'll show in a second. But in the arts, it doesn't look like that, and even in this art, it doesn't look like that. So already there's kind of a little bit of a discrepancy, but it's not that big of a deal. Let's open the box and get into it. Here's Prime out of the box, and let me just say, before I do anything, all I've done is put the shield on his forearm and twist the arm so the sword's going out like this. This is a nice looking figure. Articulation wise, we've got looks like a swivel and a ratchet in the hip, swivel in the lower hip, though it's kind of limited due to the molding of the armor on the side. Standard knee joint. Basically no ankle articulation. That's unfortunate. My right arm here is pretty loose. That's unfortunate. I might have to tighten that up a little bit. Oh, you know what? I think it came untabbed. That's why. There we go. Yeah, it's still a little loose, but looks kind of like a ratchet there. Swivel lower, swivel there. Joint in the elbow. No wrist articulation. And looks like the head's on the ball joint. Is there any hip articulation? Ah, yes, there is. There's some hip articulation. Okay. And I know it's specifically the right arm is loose because oh, you know what? The left arm is a little bit tighter. And I don't know why this was, but in the box, the blue shoulder pieces are going out to behind it should be going to the side. Oh, that looks a lot better already. My knee joints are a little loose too, so I might have to tighten up some of these joints in the future to prevent them just going like, put the arm out, zoop, like that, because that goes down fairly easily. It doesn't lock in place tightly. Overall, very nice Prime. We got some pearl silver around the waist, on the pipes, on the hilt of the sword, and some pearl silver on the inner legs and the feet. Some chrome detailing on the shins. Well, I guess would amount to the the crotch skirt, the head, and a very nice sculpt for the chest. Look at that sculpt there. That's phenomenal. I like the Prime head sculpt. It looks really good. Eyes are painted blue. There is no light piping. That's perfectly fine. Um, this is just a beautiful looking figure. I mean, I would say just the robot mode alone looks cooler than the Dark of the Moon Prime I have. This is a nice Prime. The sword fits in pretty snugly. That's nice. If you know League of Legends, this reminds me so much of Battle Bunny Riven. If I can get the lighting on it, it's mostly just a solid orange, but it has kind of a very light brown or bronze wash on it to help highlight the details on the molding. But even then, it has some very nice molding. Even here on the hilt and the handle, it has some nice molding there. Shield has some good molding on the underside too, which is weird because that's never going to get seen. And even though this isn't really canon colors, a very nice light blue on the shield. This is a very nice shield piece, and it can be either held in the hand or on the forearm, which is how it's supposed to be mounted, or at least how it's shown as being mounted. Even like the flames they just look super nice. This is a wonderful Optimus. The only real downsides, I think, to the robot mode are that these smokestacks stick up pretty dang far. Like even when Optimus is supposed to be hunched over, like a little bit, these don't really go up past like his chin. So these are a little long, but I don't know. Maybe the way the robot mode folds, it doesn't work out right. He does have quite a bit of a backpack, which if you lift up shows even more backpack, but I get that they had to compact the vehicle mode. It's not as bad as Age of Extinction Galvatron, who basically wears his vehicle mode as a backpack. This is not as bad. Some kibble on the back of the legs, but that also helps to fill in some of that muscularness. The legs, I don't find that bad. The backpack is a little silly, but I get that they had to do that in order for Prime to not just be wearing, the roof of his vehicle mode on his arms. This is actually really nice, and even these pauldrons have a little swivel, so they can pose. They can pose as you move the arms up. That doesn't restrict the movement. That's really nice. So I'm going to transform this off screen. If you want to see a transformation be done, I'd recommend checking out YouTubers like Pial, Bolt Matrix, or MGO. I watch them and I like their videos. And I'd recommend checking their videos out. I don't know. I don't want to do the transformation on screen. It'll take me like 20 minutes. Anyway, I'll see you in a minute. One last note before I transform. An important note is you can probably do it without moving the backpack, but if you lift the backpack up a little bit, it shows that there's this little slot here, which you can use for sword storage. So Optimus does not always have to have his sword out. He can just have it sticking up behind his head, and then when he wants it, he can grab it and just slink, put it in his hand. That's really cool. And it's really nice that it just doesn't have. It's really nice that there just isn't like a peg on the side, so it just goes like and like plugs into his back. It actually sheaths. That's a really nice feature. And that's extremely screen accurate, and I love that. Alright, there we go. That was actually, it was a little bit of a challenge, but it was fun. It's not that, it's not that these are like hard figures. These are, marked 8 plus. And it's not that these are just difficult or anything. It's that, just that there's a lot of like little tabs that go together that can be difficult. Like, I'm constantly trying to like finnick I'm finicking with these like little tabs all over the entire vehicle to get things to line up right, and it's like you get one in the proper place and then like 3 more untab. So I think that's the best I'm gonna get for now. If you don't have the legs just right, it does wobble a little bit like mine does. But I think this is the best I'm gonna get it for now. Rolling wise, it is a decent roll. I kind of already seem to have like a little bit of a wear and tear going on top of the roof, which is a little disheartening, but not too bad. Some really nice detail though in all just across the board. Obviously we have the silver Autobot symbols on the sides, but they did mold in the Autobot symbol on the grill, as well as there are, I'm going to try to zoom in to see if you can see this, there are Autobot symbols on the tires molded in on the hubcap. That is some really nice detail I didn't have to put in, and of course on the sides as well as along the bottom rail, and here they have Western Star logos. It's really cool. The windshield seems a little small for this truck mode, but I understand why it's not larger. Like, if it was larger, it probably would be a little too big. And like I mentioned before, it's difficult to get everything in the front section tabbed in. It's a little bit like Strong Arm in that respect. Difficult to get everything tabbed in just correctly. These two pieces right here on the hood operate on a swivel. Basically, they are a piece like this that lays on top of the arm, and it goes up and out and swivels over the hand. The joints on mine were extremely tight, so that they actually on both arms popped off. And I was even being careful on the second arm, so that wouldn't happen. Like I mentioned before with the smokestacks, in vehicle mode these look fine, but they had to make it extra long just so they'd show on the vehicle mode, and that explains why they're so big on the robot mode. But overall, I'd say this is a really nice truck mode. You definitely get all that nice, and the blue is kind of a slightly pearl blue, or like a metallic blue. It has like a little bit of a glittery effect on the flames in the front. The red is a lovely shade of red. You definitely get the chrome on like the tanks and the side and the grill here. This is just a phenomenal looking figure. You do see the sword sheath on the back, but if you try to stick your sword in, it just kind of flounders, which is kind of silly. It looks like there's supposed to be a truck hitch, but there's no trailer, at least not yet. But that little post can be used for the shield. You can put it in, I believe, either way, though I think it's supposed to fit going like this, which that looks pretty good. Not like it is weird to have the butt end of the trailer hanging off his back, but the instructions do say it can be go the other way around. Let me try that. Oh yeah, that works too, and that helps cover up the crotch plate. That's good storage. And then the sword, actually, there's another sword sheath underneath, basically on where Prime's butt is. And I think it's supposed to go this way. Yeah, that's some good weapon storage there. And that's flush. That does not inhibit the ability to drive at all. This is a really nice looking Prime. I would say probably of all the Primes I've had, this one being the third now, I'd say probably this one is my favorite of the 3 Primes I've had over the course of my life. but it's also probably the hardest to transform because Hasbro is really big on doing lots of little tabs right now. Like I said in my strong arm review, those little tabs can be very difficult if you have big fingers. But yeah, here's the two of them for comparison. Prime's a little taller, and this is mostly a shell, and those bits are mostly the legs. So overall, I'd say they're basically the same, except Prime's just a little bit bigger. For another size comparison, I don't normally do size comparisons, but for another size comparison, here he is next to Voyager Grimlock, his wave mate. Obviously, Grimlock looks a lot bigger, but that's mostly because Grimlock doesn't really compact. He really doesn't compact. In fact, you could arguably say his robot mode is his more compact mode. But wait, this has been my review for The Last Knight Optimus Prime. I'm thinking about maybe doing a review for The Last Knight Hound and Megatron. However, Megatrons are almost impossible to find, at least the Voyager version. And I've been seeing that there's production errors with the Hounds, so that basically they end up with getting like two left arms, or maybe the arms are put on backwards or something. I don't know. If I can find a good Hound, I'll buy the Hound. But yeah, thank you for all for watching. And until next time, Transformers fans, stay awesome.